Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Faiswal Kasirye, and I am presenting this paper on behalf of my co-author, Professor Dr. Sauda Walk. The title of the paper is called Attributes of Student Leaders in IIUM Towards Voting. Without wasting a lot of time, I'll jump right in to the background of the study. Here, the field of psychology deals with leadership as a process of social influence in which one person can solicit the aid and support of others in their success. In higher education institutions, attainment of leadership skills is one of the basic skills required in human capital development that is emphasized among students. The main questions, though, rather that need to be addressed in this paper, some of them would be why are these students elected as student leaders? Do they have any special qualities? Could their qualities have developed over time so that every student can become a leader? Or is there any way that we can measure their qualities and skills or characteristics? So these are one of the reasons why we set out this study to understand the attributes of IIUM student leaders toward voting. Among the objectives, we intend this study was set out to understand the level of leadership qualities of IIUM students, their attributes, their Islamic attributes, the level of their Islamic attributes, understanding the level of students' perception of important qualities, their level of participation in the voting, and also to examine the relationship between the attributes. And the significance of the study, the paper intends to fill the gap in research on the attributes of leaders, in institutions of higher learning. The paper also serves as a guiding tool for policy formulation and implementation by respective universities and governments. Then students also will gain from the data that will be gotten from this study as a way of providing useful information for their affairs regarding communication between students and their leadership. Then for academicians, it will contribute to a greater body of knowledge in creating and supporting an all-inclusive students' experience through the good managed leadership or leadership theory. For literature review, historian Khalil introduced this theory called the great managed theory of leadership. The theory assumes that the capacity of leadership is inherent and that great leaders are born rather than made. The theory further suggests that one is either has the qualities or does not have them. So leadership qualities are carried in genes. In other words, they are inborn and inherent among families from generation to generation. The theory has been used in very many leadership-related studies. Under qualities, a leader is someone who can use interpersonal skills to influence attitudes, feelings, beliefs, and behavior of others. Being strategic and characteristics is one of the being strategic and visionary are one of the important characteristics that a student leader has to possess. Whereby visionary demands many skills such as decision making, planning, ability, and it gives influential pep talks to give also influential pep talks, motivation, decision making, and sharing leadership. Under Islamic leadership, principles of leadership, we see that leadership in Islam centers on trust, which is amana. It presents a contract between leaders and their followers that they guide, protect, and treat justly. It also rotates on doing good deeds for the sake of Allah and the Muslim community at large. Under voting, students' involvement in various political activities across university campuses has tremendous impact on their leadership skills. So institutions of higher learning like IIUM have a huge responsibility of grooming future leaders with strong characters. For the methodology, we adopted a quantitative research design with IIUM students as our target population, but also using survey as our method of data collection. For data analysis, we used descriptive and inferential using SPSS software. Findings, we see that under the age, 68.2% of were under 21 to 25 age group, 29.9 were below 20 years, and the rest were 25. Under education, their level of education, foundation was 31, diploma and degree were 24.5 and 24.2% respectively. For gender, half of the respondents were female, which was 51.7, and the rest were male. Nationality, majority were Malaysians, and the rest were, which was 70.9, and the rest were international students. One supported test proved that all the variables proved that their levels were high. Remember, we had we set out to investigate the levels of each of these variables, but the results prove that all the levels of all these variables were high, with the quantity with qualities of student leaders at 68%, perception of important leaders at 74%, and characteristics of student leaders at 69.8%, Islamic attributes at 65.4%, and voting at 73.4%. For the conceptual framework, as we can see there, these are our hypotheses. We can see, we look at positive relationship between all the variables and voting, that is between characteristics and voting, important aspects of leadership and voting, as well as Islamic leadership principles and voting. Then this is the summary of the relationships that were found. After testing, after the bivariate correlation was done, the results, the relationships gotten from the from the test were yielded statistically significant relationships, and they ranged from negligible, weak, moderate, and strong. From the summary of the relationship, we see that there is a weak statistically significant relationship between qualities of student leaders and voting. Then that between characteristics of student leaders and voting was negligible and insignificant. And that between Islamic attributes and voting was weak but statistically significant. However, that between the perception of important qualities of ideal student leaders and voting was there was no relationship there, and hence the hypothesis was not accepted. In conclusion, half of the respondents, overall respondents were 327. Half of them were female from different Korea. Students regard their student leaders highly. So the results literally mean that the attributes of student leaders are significant, they are important and affect the students' voting decisions. Therefore, it is very important for them to scrutinize the qualities that their student leaders have in order for them to have to send them in office with great characters that they possess. The findings of the study strongly support the usage of the great man's theory of leadership. I think that's all I had for today, and thank you for listening. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you abundantly for your time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.